Hey guys, it's ZMeet. Welcome to video 2 of installing DDC2. Okay, so in this video we're going to cover up on some stuff I missed out in video 1, which is disabling the cycle bin and disabling UAC. We'll also cover the application installs for DCS, dedicated server, simple radio, TACView, and LotATC. So let's take a look. Okay, so this first little bit is disabling UAC. So if you just type in UAC, you get the user account control setting. Just make sure that's on to never and hit OK. And the next one we're going to do is open up desktop icons. And what we're going to do is we're going to enable the recycle bin so we can see the recycle bin on our desktop. And then we're going to firstly empty it. Then we go to properties and we're going to say do not put it in there and display delete dialog every single time I do it. And we do that for both drives. So G and C will have that setting set. And we'll hit apply and then we just untick this. Now another one that's useful to have is having the user files ticked, which is up here. Just gives you a bit more quicker access to get to things. Okay. What we'll first do is we'll open up Google Chrome and we'll jump onto the DCS website. To download, and we'll grab the DCS dedicated server. Now I think there's an open beta dedicated server and there's a standard dedicated server. We'll just grab the standard dedicated server for the moment. So one of the things we can do is we can actually switch it over to the beta later on if we want to. It shouldn't be too much of an issue. So we'll run this. Okay, next. So I'm actually going to put this on G drive. So I think that, let's just check to make sure that that actually works. I'll just copy that and paste it there. And create a shortcut and off you go. So we'll start the download and hopefully this should be relatively quick. If it's not, I'll fast forward it. Okay, we'll hit proceed. Whoa, 73 gig. Okay, so that's going to download and I'll hopefully speed this up. Okay, so that's installed successfully. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to open up PowerShell. I'm going to browse to G drive where we installed our DCS server. Go into bin. There should be DCS updater. I'm going to go install. So in the past, we've had experience where the SuperCarrier hasn't been installed with the dedicated server. So we're just going to basically force install it at the moment. And as you can see, it hasn't actually installed. So it's going to download it and cool. So now that we've got, so the reason why we do that is because if you have a mission with a SuperCarrier in it and you load it onto your dedicated server, you'll actually start in the air. So it's important to actually manually install the SuperCarrier. Hopefully they'll fix it in the future, but for now we have to run this extra command. So we'll now exit PowerShell. Alrighty, so now that DCS is installed, we're just going to spin it up, and we're also going to start up the local web server as well. So what we'll do is we'll put in our username and password. We'll hit login for there. Now later we'll tick the box for auto login, but at this stage we'll just use this login to start with. We'll just keep hitting retry. Okay, so it says the server's up. What we're going to do is just going to quickly configure it. So I'm just going to put in test server, leave the password, leave all that. We're also going to turn on allow objects and sensor exports, and we'll also set the ping max to 250, and I'll also set it to resume with clients, so the server will remain paused until clients get on the server. Then we'll hit save on that and save there. We'll also add a file. So under DCS there is so go to the server. Now it doesn't have a missions folder there, so I'll quickly create one, and then I will paste a test mission there. Okay, we'll cancel out of that and hit add again, and then we'll add that, and then we'll hit start, and we'll turn loop on just for the time being. So this should now load that mission, and once that mission's loaded, it should create a whole bunch of other folders in your position as well. We'll also set the name for the server to server admin. We'll hit save on that. Okay, cool. So let's just quickly have a squeeze just to make sure everything's been created. So there's a bunch more stuff in there now. Fantastic. So what we're going to do now is we're going to stop the server, and we'll get on with the rest of the install. So we'll close off DCS as well, so we'll kill the procedure. Cool. Okay, so the next app we're going to install is SRS. So go to Siribob's SRS release page, and we'll download the latest version. We'll show that in the folder. Fantastic, and we'll right click and we will extract that. Okay, now I'll run the installer. Now you can, so I'm going to put it onto g:/gameserver/SRS. We don't need this tick box ticked, and it's up to you whether you want to have it create a shortcut menu. I don't need one, so that's up to you. Okay, so once it's installed, everything should hopefully close out. And what we'll do now is we'll quickly go to the G drive under SRS, and we'll send this to the desktop to create a shortcut for it, and we'll rename it to SRS server, and we'll then run it. Okay, and that's to show that it's all working and it's come up, which is fine. So let's get on with the next bit. Okay, so the next one we're going to install is TACView. So we'll go to the TACView download page, and we'll hit the latest version. I'll say yep, and hit download. And here it comes. Okay, so once that's downloaded, we'll run the setup. And what we'll do again, we'll just set it to g:/gameserver, and we'll create a shortcut on the desktop as well. And hit install. And then we'll hit quit. Okay. And that's TACView installed. Okay, so I just found a gotcha with the TACView installer. If you're installing it with a dedicated server, it doesn't actually install the scripts for you automatically. So you've got to go into your TACView install folder, grab these two files, and put them in your profile for DCS. So that's under here, and paste them there. I've already done it, but that's where they go. So again, just into your game server TACView DCS folder, grab that and paste them in here, and do that while the server is not running. Okay, so one of the other gotchas with the TACView install is that it doesn't add the additional information into your options file. So we'll go into our DCS server profile and open up the options lure, and then we'll scroll down to where it says plugins, and we will paste all of this. Okay, so what this is all the TACView stuff that for some reason it hasn't added into the options.lua file. So what we'll do is these default ports will change a bit later, but that's another thing that we need to do with the TACView install. For some reason it seems to be completely broken with the dedicated server install. Okay, the next one we're going to install is LotATC. So we'll go to the download page for LotATC. Okay, we'll grab that. Alright, then we'll run it. Now this will come up because, you know, Microsoft, and we'll just hit run anyway. So we're going to do the settings. There shouldn't be anything here we need to worry about. Yep, just leave all that as default and hit next. Again, putting it under g:/game server, but we'll spell that correctly. Okay. Now we don't need the client. We don't need the tools. We do need the server and the relief maps. So all the relief maps we'll grab. Okay, and hit next. Where's the DCS file? Yep, and we'll hit next again, and then we'll accept. Next, next, install. Okay, so now that that's installed, that should conclude all the app installations that we need to do, and now we can start configuring the server. Okay, so now that we've got all of the server applications installed on the DCS server, we're going to run the DCS world server up again. So again, it'll check for updates. It'll ask me to log in. Hit login, and we'll open up the web interface as well. You'll also note that it takes a little bit longer for the server to start up now, and that's because it's running all the extra bits and pieces as well. So one of the annoying factors, which I'll show you how to fix shortly, is the fact that it changes the name to some random ass name every single time the server starts. There's a way to fix that. Again, now that the server's running, it will have created all of the base files and config files for SRS and TACView and LotATC that we need. So we're going to then stop the server again. Okay, and we'll end the task here. Okay, to stop the server from having that weird name whenever the server starts, what we need to do is we need to go to our DCS profile folder again, and we go under scripts. I'm going to create a new file here called dedicated server. So dedicated server.lua, and we'll open that in Notepad++, and we'll paste what we're going to write here. So this stuff will be in the description below, and we basically just paste this. So that will now set the server username as server admin every single time the server starts. Okay, and that's how we fix that problem. Okay, so this will start off talking about the server config now. One of the first things I do with servers is I move all of the application ports so they're very similar to each other. Just makes it easier to troubleshoot problems on the network when all the ports are near each other, so you know which server we're talking about. So what I'll do now is I'll describe the ports that we're going to modify and what they are, and basically my pattern definition of which port they'll go to. So for the DCS port, it's normally 10308. It's going to go to port 1. SRS port, it's 5002, goes to port 2. LotATC, it's going to go to port 3. TACView telemetry is going to go to port 4. The DCS WebUI is going to go to port 5. RDP is going to go to port 6. And finally, the TACView control port, not many people use it, so I've stuck that at the end. So in the event that you don't want that added, you just omit that last port on your firewall rules. So in the event that we had a server, let's say it had a port of 18,000 to start with, these would be all the ports that we would use for that particular server. Okay, so now we'll go through and show you where to configure all those ports. Okay, before we get started on configuring these ports, I just wanted to stress this is not a required configuration to get DDC2 or DCS servers working. This is purely a cosmetic / troubleshooting ease of use thing, so you can define which servers are using which ports, because as you saw by those default ports earlier, they're all over the spectrum of your 64,000 ports, and by limiting them to a small number of ports close together, it makes it easier to distinguish which server is sending out the traffic. So again, this configuration that we're about to go through is optional. It is not required. Okay, so the first one off the ranks is the DCS server port. So that is under your saved games DCS server config server settings. Hit edit, and down here we'll change that to 18,001 and hit save. Okay. So the next time DCS starts, it'll be listening on that port. Alright, so the next one is the SRS port. So we're going to just right click on our SRS server shortcut we created earlier, go open file location, and there should be a server config, and we'll edit that in Notepad++, and we will scroll down to there, and this one will be 18,002, and we'll save that one. Okay, the next configuration item is the LotATC server port. So again, under your DCS profile, under mods, services, LotATC, and then config.lua. We'll edit that one, and we'll change this one to 18,003, and we'll save that. The next one will be TACView. So that will be under the options Lua under the profile. So we actually added this stuff in before. So what we're going to do is we'll change both of these at the same time. So this will be 18,004, and this one will be 18,007, and we'll save that out. Okay, so the next one is a little bit trickier. It's actually the WebUI listening port. So we're actually going to create a new file and call this one autoexec.cfg, and we're going to edit this, and we're going to add these lines into it here. So this will be 18,005. And now I've also got the I've also disabled the use of universal plug and play because I've disabled that on my router. So if you've disabled universal plug and play on your router, I highly recommend making sure this is set to false, because you will get a lot of problems with, especially using the WebUI. It doesn't work very well when that's not set to false. Okay, so the final one we need to do is regedit, and this one is going to allow us to change the RDP listing port. So I've already browsed to it with regedit. So it's under HK local machine, system, current control set, control, terminal server, Win stations, RDP, TCP, and there's the port number there, and we'll change this one. So we'll click it onto decimal there, and we'll change this one to 18,006. And hit OK. So that won't take effect until the server's restarted, but the fact that it's there, it'll work correctly with DDC2. So now that we've changed the port for remote desktop protocol in regedit, we need to now update the firewall rules to reflect that new port. Because on a next reboot of your machine, what's going to happen is you're not going to be able to get access to your server. So what we're going to do now is going to right click on PowerShell and go run as administrator. We're now going to browse to the G drive, and under the G drive into game server into DDC2. So now what we're going to do is we're going to load the DDC2 PowerShell script into memory. So full stop, space, and then just type in DDC2 and press enter. That'll load it in. Now the command we want is new firewall RDP for port, and we're going to put in our IP address for our local system here, and it'll go and create some new rules. Now we'll go and have a look in the firewall rules. So firewall, okay, and we'll get rid of, no, wrong one, and we will go down to where it says remote desktop. Okay, so here you'll see these three new rules. Now these rules will not be deleted. These rules will not be deleted by DDC2. These are permanent rules, so again, use these sparingly. When running that command, it'll only create one rule with one IP address in it. If you wanted to add more IP addresses to it, you'll have to go in and manually change the firewall rule. But once you've rebooted the server, you should be able to disable these firewall rules here, which are the default firewall rules. Okay, so that's how you fix up the remote desktop firewall rules. Awesome, and we'll hit exit on that. Okay, so what we'll configure now is the auto connect for the SRS server. So when a user that has SRS installed on their terminal that they play DCS on connects to our server, it will automatically connect them to the SRS server as well. So we'll right click on our shortcut on the desktop, go into scripts, copy this here, we'll go into our profile again for DCS, and then we'll go to scripts, hooks, and we'll paste it here, and then we'll right click and go edit, and we'll change this to true, then we'll change this to 18,002, and we'll set this to our external IP address like that, and then we'll save it, and we're done. So now what will happen is the users, when they join the server, it will automatically connect them to the SRS server as well. Okay, so that's pretty much all I wanted to cover in this video. In the next video, we'll cover the Discord bot registration and everything that we need to do about getting that ready to go. Anyway, until then, take it easy. Catch you next time.